existing housing, people that own their homes. We're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. There's so much talk about, oh, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes.
So if you've been wondering if Donald Trump has gotten the message from the American people on the whole affordability crisis, I'm thinking no, actually, because when asked about possibly making housing more affordable, he implies not only is he not going to do it, but the reason you're asking him to is because you're lazy and you haven't worked hard enough to earn the money for the house. And he knows a lot about working for your money. I mean, after all, he was only gifted $400 million by his dear papa to buy his first real estate. Y'all are just lazy. You should have been born into a family where they'd give you $500 million. So anyway, that's dumb and insulting. And by the way, look, if you wanted to have a nuanced conversation about what could be done in this crisis to make housing more affordable without scaring people who own property and don't want the value to go down, then you can have some sort of conversation like that, perhaps. And there are policies perhaps that can accomplish both of those goals. But saying, no, we're not gonna do it, and also you're lazy, it just shows that he's never going to get it when it comes to this stuff. He is a fake populist. The only populist thing about him is the nativism. That's it. He is not an economic populist. He doesn't understand the concerns of regular people. The fact that some cultists have been conned into thinking that he does is more of a testament to the fact that there's a couple decades of Fox News leading into this thing, and weirdly the admiration they have from him coming out of The Apprentice than anything he's actually saying when a camera's pointed at his face. And by the way, housing prices have gone up. The median sale price of a home in December was $429,000. That's up 28% since December 2020. So this is actually a crisis, and it's not going to be solved exclusively through interest rate reductions, which, yes, would make mortgages less expensive in the long term. But if you were to take down the interest rate and suddenly people are now think that they can buy a house because the mortgage cost isn't going to be as much in over the next 3 decades, that's also going to spike demand for the housing that currently exists, which is going to drive up the price of the housing. So again, this requires nuanced and multifaceted solutions, and I just don't think he has it. And by the way, me criticizing him, other Republicans criticizing him for what he said, that's standard issue stuff. But Fox Business is even acknowledging how bad things are getting. The big money show host Brian Brenberg recently said, acknowledging that last year was bad for the economy, sometimes when you renovate a house, you gotta make it worse before you make it better. There's gonna be a lot of sheetrock lying around. There's gonna be nails in the floor because you've got to demolish some things. I think part of what Trump's doing is he's doing so much all at once. The first year felt like a lot of demolition. We'll see if 2026 makes the new sheetrock going up, the first coat of paint. People like to see that. Yeah, I think they'd like to see pretty much anything positive coming out of the economy these days. But Brett, what do you make of this?
Yeah, so what Donald Trump does is, when you're saying nuance, he doesn't do nuance. He says the whole thing to one audience in a clump, right? So that yields things like, I don't want to make houses cheaper, I want to make them more expensive because I'm talking to the homeowner who owns the house already. So obviously if I say if you don't own a house, you're a lazy bastard, I am only saying things that make this one audience member feel good. He then will turn around and say, oh, it's too expensive. The housing is too expensive if you want to buy a home. I'm going to try to ban these corporate companies from buying up all the land and driving you out and making it too expensive. That's corruption. That's horrible. I have no problem with certain approaches like that. And that is a good way to message to individual groups, especially in an algorithm-driven media environment that will get those messages to both the desired audience and its enemies. But you've already catered each media clump, each like clump of your thing to an audience. So both of those inboxes that ends up in, or feeds that ends up in, that's good for you because you're pleasing your friends and you're pissing off your enemies, right? That's how he works. Let's take a step back. Unfortunately, how he talks about the real estate market has nothing to do with how you buy houses and how you make houses, how you build houses and where. He does all this weird stuff. He's like, I don't want the Palisades to have a low-cost housing and whatever. Like, he's all over the place. And I feel like you don't even need nuance. You just need specific answers to specific questions, addressing specific instances where there's a problem. But really, we need to build more houses, which is something he should be happy about as a developer, so to speak.
One would think, but as you know, as you've indicated, his policies have not made that necessarily that achievable. Not with the tariffs,
downside is he
not
doesn't
with the
actually do anything.
Exactly, 100%.